welcome back, everybody, to Who Really Won the Wrestling War? Fanguy, we have made it to the end of 1989. It's been a journey. Right now, we have WCW up 4 points, 24-20. Can they finally get the win? I have my doubts.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Merry Christmas. It was an interesting month. Again, it was another month I wish we had a little more material for WWF.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling without a pay-per-view, it was going to be an uphill battle for WWF this month. So we just got to see how the TV stuff rolled out, and if that cage match between Hogan and Beefcake versus Savage and Zeus was any good.
We shall see. I have a lot to say about the WCW pay-per-view, however, that ain't great. So WWF has a pretty big shot at this month of winning.
It could be close.
That's all I'll say. I think it's going to be close. All right. Well, we're going to start with WWF since there is far less to talk about.
I don't have much to say at all.
Yeah, I know. One of the main things that I am saying is that, I don't know, we got Hogan in like two different storylines, and one's good and one's still bad. That's the problem. Because you got Perfect thing going, which is good, but you're still stuck with Zeus, which isn't good. Or tagging with Brutus.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think they're trying to segue out of that. I think this big cage match was I'm not sure, but I believe it was the finale of the whole Zeus
I think so.
Saga, which is good because it has not worked for me at all.
Me either.
And I'm ready to see the Perfect Hogan feud, get into full swing.
Yeah, we got to see a little more from Saturday Night's main event that we couldn't see because Peacock is still trash. We got to see Mr. Perfect destroy the title with a hammer at the end of Saturday Night's main event.
Yeah, we did.
Which is also a nice touch to continue that feud.
Yeah, I dug that. I dug that segment a lot. He just battered the belt. It was just in pieces on the Brother Love stage, and it was. I like where they're going with that feud. I'm ready. Like I said, I'm ready for more of that. I'm glad that hopefully this marked the end of the whole Tiny Lister R.I.P. I'm a big fan of Tiny Lister, but not as a wrestler in the marquee main event type scene.
I definitely agree. And I forgot to tease at the beginning of this. We're going to be doing a little awards at the end of this for the year of 1989, just in case you want to stick around for that. But anyway, back to this. Let's see what other notes I have. We got the Valentine and Garvin feud just keeps on trucking through, Fanguy.
My exact words are Garvin Valentine nonsense. That is my exact note on this because nobody cares. And I don't think anybody cared back then. And I certainly don't care. Like, oh, Garvin's cleared to wear a shin guard now to protect him from the figure four leg lock of Greg the Hammer Valentine. Like, I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah, I agree. It's just more of the same from them. That's just going nowhere, really. Let's be honest. We had an earthquake squash. We had Piper humiliating Brother Love. Has Piper grew on you any yet?
I don't like saying this. Maybe a little. I like his segment with Brother Love, that one, and a few of his other little segments. They weren't as overboard annoying for me this month as they have been in the past. So, he's still not anything I'm really fond of, but I liked his promo that he cut where he was just calling out I liked his Royal Rumble promo, which I guess they're gearing up for the Royal Rumble the next month. And so I did dig that promo. That was probably my favorite promo of Piper's.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good promo.
Since we've been doing this. That's the first thing I saw of Piper, and I was like, okay, man, he's calling out all the faces, he's calling out all the heels. Okay. And he didn't act like a fool. So yeah, for to that degree, Piper's growing on me.
Yeah, I feel like we've been at a point at this point with Piper in his career where he's just really over the top as a face, and I don't know if it works so much.
But I just think he was so over back then.
Yeah.
He was just so over, and it was just a different time. So I try to be a little less judgy about that, because I think he was just so over. That's why they let him on prime time, the hosting desk, so much. That's why they gave him his own little segment for a little while. Is because he was just super over.
Agreed. I mean, it's the same problem we have with Hogan, because it's like Hogan's just always squashing every single person, but he's one of the biggest draws in wrestling history. So, I mean, it worked for whatever reason. It worked with the children.
I loved him when I was growing up with him. I freaking loved him. So, and I was a kid, but I think that's what he appeals to.
Yeah,
I think he appeals to the like 6 to 12-year-old demographic. But that's a lot of wrestling fans, you know? So,
yep.
He was just super over, man. And I liked him taking that L to Poffo last month.
Yeah, that was the best thing he's done this year. We got more model Rick Martel. Any fashion you saw that you liked this month?
Tons of him, bro. We got tons of him. If this recap was any indicator, like they had this man on every single show. No, the fashion of the 80s, bro. Like
it's a lot.
Something special. I'm still ready for him to come out with his spray, the perfume spray stuff, the whatever it had a name that he uses to, a bunch of man, like Fabergé or something like that. And he used it in a bunch of his matches. So I'm ready for that to be introduced. But I like the gimmick. The fashion, not so much, but I like the gimmick.
I agree. Maybe that is the next step. The perfume will be his next line.
That's it. That's it.
Let's see. Sapphire officially became Dusty Rhodes' manager. I mean, it is what it is. My favorite segment of the month, of course, came down to Bobby Heenan.
I know exactly
talking about Santa Claus.
That's it. Mine too, Nick.
Yes, that was the segment that made me laugh, of course, with Heenan and Piper getting mad.
Yep. I was like, Brain is awesome as usual with the Santa Claus segment.
At least we could still count on him to bring some entertainment.
Yes, we could.
So we got Warrior still feuding with Dino Bravo and Earthquake. Any thoughts on that?
I don't feel like Dino Bravo. I mean, maybe Earthquake because he just got introduced, so we don't really know where he stands on the hierarchy of things.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like Dino Bravo is a worthy feud for the Warrior. I think Warrior's just a little too main card, and Dino Bravo is a little too mid card.
I agree. I would consider Bravo like lower mid card, and
yeah, man. Exactly.
Warrior's supposed to be getting in the main event scene here soon, so it's kind of like a feud. Because I mean, yeah, you're right.
Because they haven't done any, like Earthquake's almost too new, right? They haven't done anything to build him up as a monster yet, except for a few squash matches.
Yeah.
So it's tough to just put a guy like that who's into a feud with a guy like that. So, I mean, I think that's what they're going for. Like, we don't know what the Earthquake is. Maybe he's this monster, but.
Yeah, and also, I mean, kind of something WCW does too much, burying heels too early, that maybe they shouldn't do that to the Earthquake anyway.
Yeah, and then turning him into teddy bear hugging. Yeah. Yeah. Not crazy about that feud. Ipso facto, not crazy about that feud. I don't think it'll last long either.
One of the other highlights of this month was Demolition quickly losing their titles to the colossal connection of Andre the Giant and Haku. Brain gets the titles back with Brainbusters leaving, which to me just clearly shows that Brainbusters weren't going to lose the titles. They just lost the titles because A, whether you were in trouble, and B, they were leaving. So,
yeah, and I mean, were they? Because I haven't looked at any of this, but like, were they leaving if Tully didn't get in trouble? Were they on that short of a contract?
I have no idea.
Because I mean, I feel like I agree with you. I feel like if they gave the belts right back to the Brain family like that, the Brainbusters were supposed to have him, which makes me think that the only reason Arn got freed up on his contract was because Tully did.
That would make the most sense.
And they didn't have anything for Arn solo.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad Demolition lost titles, honestly. I was not ready for another Demolition title reign already because the last one was just miserable. Not that Andre and Haku is going to really, bring fire to the tag division or anything, but I'll take it over Demolition for now.
I will too. I'm not crazy about 2 single stars. I mean, I've made that pretty clear. I'm not too crazy about 2 single stars teaming up and winning tag titles. But man, I'm with you. I'm just so over Demolition that it's a breath of fresh air. Like, send them in, let's go.
And at least the two have Heenan in common, so it works a little bit. That is just still the Heenan family, I guess.
It's nice to see Andre get a title on his way out because he's not going to be around too much longer.
No. Well, did you have any other notes before the no holds barred cage match?
No.
No, I did not. That was about it.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think of the no holds barred cage match?
I didn't think it was awful, but I didn't think it was good. I thought it was, my exact wording was not too great. And then I just have a bunch of hulking out as stupid. Just not a fan of Hulk Hogan's invincibility gimmick at all. Never have been, never will be. I thought the match told a story. So I can appreciate the storytelling of the match, just some of the cool little nuances where like Sherry locks Hogan out of the ring for the beginning of the match and they can double team, Brutus. But this was a foregone conclusion. Hogan's going to win this every single time. And he even did it in his own ego way at the end where Brutus is coming in. They have a clear double team chance. And he's like, no, Brutus, you stay out. I'm going to do this all on my own because I'm Hulk Hogan, the greatest wrestler of all time to infinity and beyond. And, he goes and thwarts Zeus. So it could have been worse.
I agree with that. That's a good way to put it. I was expecting worse, honestly.
Yeah, they could have electrified the top.
True. Yeah, honestly, the best part of the match for me was Sherry because she was not afraid to just get involved, take some bumps. So yeah, but the match overall, I mean, it was what it was. It wasn't good, but could have been worse.
Yeah, definitely could have been worse. And I agree with you about Sherry. I didn't even think about that, but looking back over almost every manager, I mean, that's one of the things I like about Cornette. He's willing to take some bumps, and there's something appealing about that for me when the managers are willing to get involved, get physical. And
I agree.
Sherry's a woman, and she's taking bumps from these 6'7" guys. So props to her. Very underrated manager, I think.
I agree. Well, that was the month. It was quick, but we didn't get to see much because Peacock ain't allowing us anytime soon, I don't think, to have full episodes, so we're just dealing with what we got. But I went down on them almost a full point to a 6.2. I basically gave them the same rating I gave them for October. I decided, they went up for Survivor Series, but then they're back down again.
I gave them a 7, even. Which dropped, I mean, that was a full point below what I had them last month as well, like exactly a point below. And I actually thought it was a pretty generous rating because I really didn't like what I saw from WWF this month. But I'm trying to be as forgiving as possible with the fact that maybe there was a couple matches that I didn't get to see that. And I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it was all squash matches. Maybe they had no decent matches. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to
so
tell.
I try to give them the benefit of doubt. I really wanted to give this month like a 5 or something, but I kept it at a 7 just because I didn't want to be too hard on them.
Well, you were nice to them. I can't say the same for how I felt about WCW this week. I maybe should have been nicer because I think I'm about to be harsh.
Yeah, we're probably gonna disagree on this one a little bit, but I'm very curious to hear your take on why you thought it was so terrible.
Oh, this is my least. This month is right up there with that month with that terrible Clash for me. That's how bad I thought Starrcade.
I see, and for me, it was the total opposite. Like I thought their TV was pretty garbage this month. There was only one match on the TV segments that I liked. and I thought that their TV segments weren't very good, but I actually thought Starrcade was okay.
Well, we will get there. Guess we'll start with the TV. I mean, it's still a lot of squash matches for sure on TV.
Yeah, pretty much all of them for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we had Luger, he's been bullying, I guess, wrestlers, keeping him in torture racks, and Sting keeps, saving them. That's kind of furthering their story.
Yeah, and I like the story. Luger's just being ruthless, and Sting is the ultimate face, wrestler of the year, hottest face on the market right now. And he comes out to further the feud. And then they have some pretty good promo work at each other as well.
Also on this December 2nd show, we had the Dudes versus the Midnight Express match. That was the main match on the show. And the Dudes basically dominated the match, but Midnight Express got DQ'd with a tennis racket.
Yeah, this was actually a fun match for me. This was the match I enjoyed on their TV programs for the whole month. This was probably my favorite match. It was a fairly fun match. I mean, you let the Dudes get a win, a tainted win, which I think they need if they're going to continue this feud even more, which it looks like they're doing. You can't just have the Midnight Express go win every single confrontation. So I was okay with this finish, as where I hate DQs normally, but I was okay with this one.
Yeah, and one of the things that's bothering me for this month and for the pay-per-view, I think the booking decisions have finally caught up to WCW for me, where it's just starting to irk me at this point. Because, as we talked about in the last few months with this feud, if they would have booked it the way you said, it would mean so much more right now. Because right now it's just I don't know, I'm losing interest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like it was supposed to be booked the way I said. I really believe that. And then it was a last-minute decision that changed it. But then, rather than just dropping it all together, which I think would have been a more intelligent move, you have their one match, you get it out of the way, and it's done. Now they're continuing the feud, these teams still have the title or something like that. There's nothing at stake for these two teams anymore. It's just, I don't really care. It's a fun match, but I just don't care.
Same. Anything else in your notes for the second?
It was no, I don't have a ton of notes for any of the TV shows because it's 90% squash matches on every one.
Yeah, December 9th seems to have the one I have the most notes for as far as the TV shows go. Well, if I could read my handwriting. Oh, so we got this whole gimmick where Midnight Express is giving away $5K if a team could beat them in 5 minutes. And eventually we get the Dudes coming out in masks to beat them and get the $5K. I like this touch, at least, I guess. It was fun.
This feud is fun. That's why I wish there was more at stake.
Yeah.
I wish there was some more at stake. How cool would it have been if the Midnight Express had the titles at this point and these two masked guys come out of nowhere and win the titles and then reveal themselves? That's so much more fun to me. I do agree with you, though. It was a fun, super fun little way to play it. And it, this is the kind of stuff we need more of.
Do you have any thoughts on the new Gary Hart guy, the Dragon Master?
This guy, he makes no sense to me. He kind of looks like Mr. Fuji. He looks like he's just really over the hill. I don't know where they got this guy. He does not look in great shape. I don't understand the Dragon Master gimmick. I don't understand anything about this character. And they're not giving us anything on him. This entire month he's been around and I know nothing about him.
I agree.
So no, I don't care. I don't care about him at all. And considering Gary Hart has the prominent heel stable right now in WCW, you would think that I don't care about most of his guys. I can't even.
Without Funk, it's bad.
Yeah, dude. I like Muda. I like Funk. But this Buzzsaw Sawyer, whatever, I don't care about him. The Dragon Master, I don't care about.
And I feel like they really want us to care about this Buzz guy, and I just don't.
Yeah, they do. I really don't. He could have been Scott Gator Hall. That's what they should have.
Sure.
Scott Gator Hall on that side. Then,
Well, the big thing during this is that these clowns of Gary Hart's basically confront Flair, and out comes Arn and Ole Anderson to make the save, which we alluded to last month.
I didn't think it was going to happen this soon, though, because it feels like Arn was just wrestling in WWF last month.
I didn't think it was going to happen this soon either.
So I don't know what kind of contractual things they had going on, but apparently he was released immediately with a no competition clause, like none of that stuff, and he was able to just go right back to work for WCW. I love the Four Horsemen. They're the most nostalgic group from my childhood, probably because my older brother and cousin idolized them, and it passed on to me where they were just the shit, if you will, like, you know. So seeing these guys come back was cool. Like, even though I don't really like Ole Anderson or whatever, like, I was excited. I was excited to see the three of the original OGs back with the Horsemen.
Yeah, this was one of the better parts of the month for me for WCW. Was this return, and at this show, this was the best TV show of the several that we saw.
Sure. For sure. Even though I didn't like the main event on this one either.
What was the main event?
It was Tommy Rich versus Mike Rotunda, the first match. All I have written about it is a weird ass match, not good.
Rotunda's just kind of disappeared into the background too.
Yeah, he has. I think it was a double. No, the double count out was later this month. I don't even remember how. I didn't even write how this match ended. I just said it was a really weird match and I did not enjoy it. But it could be because, you know, Tommy Rich, the only good match he's had, in my opinion, since he's come back, is that banger with Luger.
Yeah,
which was a great match.
It was a great match.
All his other matches have been very lackluster, and then you pair him against Mike Rotunda, who he's a pretty, like, I don't like talking crap on Mike Rotunda because, like, he's got like a family legacy that I love. Like, I love that whole family, but his wrestling, at least at this point in his career, is very slow paced. It's a lot of rest holds in almost all Rotunda's matches. So his matches are just unbearably slow. And you pair him against a guy like Rich, who, you know, if he's not marqueeing a match like against Luger or something, is also a pretty slow worker. You just get a recipe for boredom. And I just don't. Yeah.
I agree with that entire assessment. I feel the same way about him. My only other note is Norman and his teddy bears. Do you have any more thoughts on that?
You know, you kind of alluded it to when you were talking about WWF. I think they killed the heel Norman too quick. I think we'd care more about Teddy Bear Norman if heel Norman was a little bit more of a monster, and they let him flourish as a heel for a little while. Because
it was only a couple months.
Yeah, it was really short. And they're giving him time to flourish as a face, but we don't care as much about that because they didn't give him any time as a heel. So the whole turn, and I love Norman, man. So I hate even saying that, but you know, I'm glad he's getting some wins, even if they are just squash matches.
Yeah, I don't totally dislike it, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. It's also just going on too long, and also doesn't seem to be going anywhere either.
That's the problem. And that's kind of what I meant whenever we don't care about him as a face. It's just there's no direction because they didn't establish any direction as a heel, so he has no direction as a face.
Any other notes from that?
No, sir.
Well, that brings us to Starrcade 89. We're going to disagree on this one, I guess.
Yeah, and we don't disagree
oh my gosh.
I'm surprised. Like, through the history of this,
hated this pay-per-view. Hated this pay-per-view.
Through the entire history of this podcast, which we're on our last month,
12th, yes.
We've been pretty much on the same page about a lot. So I am fascinated to hear what you got to say about this and why you thought it was so terrible.
Well, before we get to the matches and the concept, for me, it's just a bad combination of everything. I felt like every match was either subpar or bad. I felt like the booking was downright atrocious in some cases that I will get to. And yeah, I think this is going to be one of my least favorite pay-per-views on this podcast for a while. It's going to take a while before another pay-per-view, because WrestleMania was pretty bad this year. but this was worse in my opinion because of the booking. Because like I felt WrestleMania was like terrible build and like boring, but I felt this event was detrimental to WCW.
I cannot wait to hear this analysis. Why do you feel it was so detrimental? So I mean, let's start with the concept. So what do you not like about the concept? Because I like the concept.
It's honestly not the concept itself that I hated. I mean, it's kind of convoluted with the scoring. I guess for me it was the execution.
I can agree with that. Because I like the concept. I agree. Actually, I agree with everything you just said. Because I wasn't crazy about how this kind of win is this many points, this kind of win is this many points, so on. It feels like they were trying too hard almost to plan it perfectly to the T with the scoring system. Therefore, they did it that way. I'd have been more than happy had they just said a win is this many, a loss is 0, and a draw is this many. I don't think they needed to have count outs or disqualifications count for this many and something else. Yeah, I don't think they needed to add all that nonsense.
Yeah, me either. But I mean, I guess they had. I don't even know if they had to do that because they didn't protect people in this event, so they didn't even have to have that convoluted scoring system.
Agreed. I like the concept of the round robin sort of tournament, though. I thought it was fresh.
It's different.
Yeah, it was something new that hadn't been attempted before. And the guys, aside from maybe Muda, but Muda at this point is still unpinned going into this event,
which is another reason I hated this show.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that one. But the other 3 guys, you got Sting, Luger, and Flair in some sort of round robin tournament where they're all going to match up on the same night. In theory, it's a great concept because you got your top guys that are all going to, work their butts off.
I agree with that in theory. Also, oh God, I don't know. This is how the concept is. The pinfall was 20 points. Count out was 15. The count out win. DQ win is 10 and a draw. Both give 5 points, I believe. And one thing that I even forgot about, I think we both forgot about, because last week we were talking about how Sting is going to have to lose his TV title. We forgot he already lost his TV title to Muda. Well, it was like controversial, but yeah. And also Sid Vicious is injured. He got injured at the last event against the Steiners. So something's going wrong for WCW, and I think this event was one of them, but I'll just shut up now and we'll get to the matches. We'll start with Doom and the Steiners.
Oh yeah, I hate to be the spoiler, but this was not a good card for Doom or Muda. They really took it hard.
That was a big part of why I hated this.
And I mean, I'm seeing what you're saying now because conceptually, look, you've been building Doom up as these invincible sort of new Legion of Doom kind of team that's so hardcore, and Muda too, and you just let them go completely off a cliff at this pay-per-view. The Steiners get the win by count out over Doom in this match, which, this convoluted scoring system is just already getting interesting. I didn't really care for the match. It was kind of sluggish to me.
I agree.
But I'm wondering if a lot of these matches were a little sluggish, and I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because all these guys are going to have to wrestle 3 or 4 times tonight.
Yeah, that's true. I felt like there was points in this match where it almost got good, and then it just got back to being sluggish.
Yeah.
Like they just never got the chance to kick it into gear. We'll talk more about Doom, I guess, later. We'll move on to Sting versus Luger, which, oh my God, I thought this match was terrible.
See, I didn't think the match was terrible, but obviously the finish was pretty botched.
That was bad too.
This is a pretty awful botched finish to this match where the referee actually has to get involved to help the finish. And that's bad when the ref actually has to get physically involved in a match as part of the finish, because they botch it so bad. But I actually did like this match until that. Like, I didn't think it was a bad match. I mean, it obviously wasn't Luger's or Sting's best work of the year, but I didn't hate it. What did you not like about this match?
I just felt like it was all awkward and like the ending was awkward, but to me the whole match just kind of like their chemistry was off because they have a later match on TV that I thought was much better compared to this one. I don't know. I just felt it was off.
I mean, I can see what you're saying. Because I did. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I guess maybe I just liked it because it was Luger and Sting. I just, I don't know. Those are two of my favorite wrestlers of this era right now, even watching it back. So, but yeah, they could have done more for sure. But again, I think this could be a case of they got to wrestle so many more matches throughout the night and they didn't want to. It's tough to just go all out at the very beginning of the night.
True. Well, next we have Doom and the Road Warriors. We got Road Warriors pinning Doom for the win here.
Poor Doom.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're done already. That's it. This is just we've talked about this. This is what WCW does with all their hills. Like within a month or two, they're done. I mean, this is the second time they've done it to Butch Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even conceptualize it as that. But I think you're right. They do. I didn't conceptualize it as they're burying all their heels really quick, but they are. And and then it almost is more discouraging, and I'm not even trying to get ahead of myself, or ahead of us, but it's even more discouraging for me to book them that way on this card and then come back on TV the next week and act like it didn't happen and like Doom's still this unbeatable force. That's just it's just dumb. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
And this is the middle of their feud with the Steiners. So
how are you've killed all their credibility. You've killed all their credibility with the way they were booked in this tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is just why I feel like the concept just doesn't work. Like, I mean, I guess they tried it. I hope they never try it again. I hope this is the only time we see this concept. God. Now we'll get to Flair and Muta. Even worse. This is even worse than Doom to me.
This is my least favorite match on this card.
So we have Muta's been built up the entire year. He's not been pinned the entire year. And he loses to Flair in like a minute.
1 minute and 30 something seconds to be exact.
And a small package.
What? Like what?
None of this makes sense to me. It doesn't make any logical sense. How are you gonna build this guy up as a heel only to do this shit? Like I don't know. This just could have been the Starrcade main event, period, instead of having this concept.
Yeah. A minute-long match that's a champion versus champion match. And it lasts 1 minute and 30, and a guy loses his undefeated streak in it. This might be the worst booking I've ever heard of anything ever.
It's pretty fucking terrible. And I didn't even think about the champion angle, but you're right. It's even worse with that.
Mm-hmm. You don't have a 1 minute and 30-second match between champion versus champion and two guys that you've just been building up. One of them can't lose or hasn't lost, and now he gets pinned clean in 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's just it's baffling. This was by far my least favorite match for all those reasons.
Yeah. At this point, I was already like annoyed because of Doom, but then after this match, I think I checked out at the event. After this, I was like, this is terrible.
Which is a shame because we actually got some decent matches later on. I think they were probably ruined for me, but Steiners and Road Warriors was next. I mean, it had its moments, I guess. It was okay. They went with the classic guy pins himself sort of angle with the switch. As long as it's not overused, I'm okay with that one. Yeah, I mean, look, the Road Warriors aren't going to put on 5-star matches. They're just not in anyone's mind.
No.
That's just not the kind of workers they are. So for me, this match was sufficient for what it was.
Yeah, I can agree with that much. Stinkin' Muda was next. We got Muda losing again. He's lost his winning streak and he loses twice in one night. This time to Sting.
Oh, one other thing. This was the only match, and I mean, that's a little bit of a spoiler. That last match was the only match that the Road Warriors lost on this night, and it was to the Steiners. So I do feel like they're booking the Steiners pretty strong still. They're keeping them in the main event. Yeah, the Sting Muda match, this was a much better match than the Flair Muda match. This was actually an okay match. But again, I mean, how much disrespect you gonna show Muda like in one night? How much disrespect? They're not even done. They're not even done disrespecting that man this night.
And then with the event half over, more than halfway over, we finally get to the Samoan SWAT team. They take on Doom to once again have Doom lose again.
Another then this was a clean loss too. One other thing about this Muda thing, you could have had him get DQ'd in these matches, and it would have worked better for me. You could have just had him miss to everybody in the face and take a bunch of losses like that and keep his momentum. The way they booked him was terrible. It's just clean loss.
It was awful. Just like awful. I think it goes back to the convoluted scoring because they wanted Sting and Flair to mean something in the main event, right. But they had to completely destroy Muda to do that.
And they had to do the same thing on the tag side to Doom. The way the scoring worked, they have to just absolutely bury somebody to get it to where they want it. The Samoans, I don't really care about them as much anymore. It's weird. When they were with Paulie, I cared about them a lot more than now they're with Humperdinck, and
they don't really do anything though.
Yeah, I don't really care for them anymore. So, this is definitely a match I think they should have the Doom should have got. The Doom should have got a win. Like,
yeah,
for
they
sure.
Needed something
more than any other match. Like, Doom needed to win this one. So yeah, hated the booking here, and I just don't really care about the Samoans. I feel like the Samoans were thrown in because the Skyscrapers.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Were injured.
Flair and Luger go to a draw.
I like this match.
Yeah, this was one of the only matches I will concede was okay.
I like this match. Yeah, I mean, it was a classic match between these two. These two have met many times in their careers, and up to this point and after this point. This was just a pretty standard Luger Flair match, which I typically enjoy most of them. And again, with the scoring system, it had to go to a draw. This one lasted 17 minutes. They called the draw at 17 minutes. So at least we got some length. It wasn't another 1 minute thing. But yeah, I like both these guys. So again, I might be blinded by nostalgia or just the fact that I'm fans of all these guys, that whenever they square off against each other, I generally I might think it's better than it actually is, but I did enjoy this match.
I mean, I think I would have liked these matches better if I wasn't so over the event, because I was out of it. Literally, my only note for this next match for Samoan SWAT team and the Steiners, and I quote, is all I want is this event to end. That was my only note on the match.
Yeah, this is another one of those weird over the top rope DQ. Which is a stupid rule. I don't know when they get rid of it. But yeah, I mean, as we go through the event, I'm hearing your take on it. I am seeing why you're so low on this event, but I think it all goes back to their convoluted scoring, their attempt to have the scoring be certain ways, and as a result, it influenced a lot of the finishes of these matches and made them not good. Like the Steiners lose to the Samoans because Scott throws somebody over the top rope. That just, like, faces don't get DQ'd for that. It's not a thing.
They were clearly out of ideas by this point on how.
Yeah, like heels get disqualified for that. Faces don't. Like, what are you guys even thinking? I don't understand. I hated this match too. So yes, while I didn't wish for it to end, I did hate this match. This was one of my least favorite matches.
Next was Luger and Muda.
They finally booked Muda right, in my opinion, as I was just alluding to. If you're gonna have the man lose all night, at least let him do it in Muda fashion and mist everyone and be like, oh, Muda lost all his matches because he sprayed mist in their face. At least that, to me, it keeps him credible and does what you're trying to do with the scoring or whatever. You know, you could work around that. The match was okay. I didn't have a problem with this match. And I think I was refreshed to see Muda not get pinned.
Yeah.
I think I was happy to see Muda not get pinned.
Yeah, I agree. That leaves with the last tag match, Road Warriors and Samoan SWAT team, which eventually gives Road Warriors the win on this whole round robin tournament.
Yeah, again, I'm just going to echo what I said about the Road Warriors a little while ago. They don't put on 5-star matches, so you're not going to hear me say really ever that I watched a Road Warriors match and it was just so good, because they're not. And the Samoans I care even less about now. So for this to be the main event tag match, it probably should have been Road Warriors Steiners.
Yeah.
Because that was the best tag match on the card anyway. So I just feel like this was really lazy booking. And I feel like they almost plugged the Samoans straight into what the Skyscrapers were supposed to be doing. And it was supposed to be a Skyscrapers Road Warriors finale in the tournament.
Yeah.
And so they just got really lazy. And rather than switch it around where it would be Steiners and Road Warriors, they were just like, screw it. We're going to put the Samoans in there. And so there was just, I didn't care, because there was no way the Samoans were going to beat the Road Warriors in this match ever.
That was a good point. I didn't even think of that. It probably was what they were going for with the Skyscrapers. Well, Sting and Flair ended the show. I'll let you take it because I don't want to be too bitter about this event to downplay this match.
I like this match. This is my favorite match on the card. I thought it was a really good match between two legends of the game. And Sting beats the champ in a face versus face main event affair, which is already rare enough. These guys put on a pretty good match to end the show. And it does set up, what I like about this even more was it sets up what I believe is going to be a storyline over the next couple months. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like Flair, even after the match, the Horsemen came out and congratulated Sting or whatever. So I'm feeling that Sting's about to join the Horsemen. But if I remember correctly, that's a pretty short-lived thing. And I think it's because they're setting up a Sting Flair feud. So this match for me was booked correctly. I think it set a good direction for the next chapter of this feud and this story. So I enjoyed this match, everything about it.
Yeah, it was one of the only two matches that I didn't think were bad on the card. So that was Starrcade. I hated it. But and I feel like it's odd that both companies, at least for me, their two worst pay-per-views are supposed to be their biggest pay-per-views, WrestleMania and Starrcade.
Yeah, that's something we hadn't even mentioned yet. Is that Starrcade is WCW's WrestleMania. Like, it is their marquee event of the year.
Not this year.
I mean, like I said, I didn't think it was as bad as you do, but there was a lot of questionable booking decisions. And while I did like the concept of the Iron Man tournament, the scoring thing was just not done right.
Yeah, I really wish they would have tried something else. Like, I kind of get that they I guess they ended all their storylines too early, so they couldn't come up with enough for Starrcade or something, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next bad pay-per-view is, because I'm going to be comparing them to this one.
And it does. No, I agree with you, though. It does feel like WCW is in a little bit of trouble going into the future, because it feels like realistically the only angle they have on their entire program that I care about is maybe like the Horseman Sting angle thing. And outside of that, I don't really care about Steiner's and Doom anymore because Doom was just proven to be just awful. I don't really care about Midnight Express and Dynamic Dudes because they gave us no reason to care. Muda is now completely washed out because of this performance at this tournament. So I see what you said, where it did more harm than good in a lot of ways. Luger's still going to be, I'm still excited to see rings, but other than Luger and the Horsemen, I'm a little worried about the next few months for WCW.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, and they have this great tag division, but I just feel like they're squandering it, honestly.
Yeah, this pay-per-view is a perfect example of that.
Well, we'll finish off these TV shows.
Terrible stuff.
Yeah.
I have 2 notes, and one of them is garbage show. I just put garbage show and woman joins Teddy Long. Those are my only 2 notes for the 16th. Garbage ass show and woman joins Teddy Long.
All of these, honestly. My one good note for all of these shows is that, hopefully a positive at some point, we got Cactus Jack. He's been in tag matches, and then after his tag partners lose the match, he beats them up and jumps off the apron. So that's one interesting thing WCW has, I guess.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of notes for the shows after Starrcade. I have 16th show was terrible. I have nothing. The 23rd show, you got a double count out between Rotunda and Rich, another feud or whatever I don't care about.
We had Sting and Luger. This was their match.
Yes. And this was a better match than the pay-per-view one. I thought. I enjoyed this match more than their Starrcade match.
Oh yeah, definitely. I did not like the Starrcade match, so this was definitely better for me.
So yeah, they had that. The Terminator gets introduced. I don't know what that's gonna be. And we had Pillman and the Z-Man team up on the 23rd.
Yeah, how do you feel about those two being hooked together?
I don't care. It's like they took the 2 All-American boys, the 2 All-American pretty boys, shredded guys coming out with cheerleader type, and they're just like, oh, let's just throw these 2 buff guys on a team together. That makes no sense. Pillman had a good bit of momentum going, so I feel like this is a huge step back for him.
Oh yeah, it is.
The Z-Man actually had a bunch of momentum going, not quite the same level as Pillman, but he had been built up to be, strong. And I felt like the Z-Man was in a good spot to maybe get a TV title sort of loss in the near future, like that level, where Pillman was straight up US title, area. So I hate this. I hate this team up. I feel like you're killing 2 of your young stars who had some momentum built up, and you just don't know what to do with them. So you're putting them as a tag team. There probably are going to be booked pretty strong, as we see on the 30th card, where they actually get a win over the Freebirds by some random DQ that I didn't even I just have random ass DQ. Like I didn't even see the DQ. I think it was because they were in the ring too long together or something.
I did like the match until the DQ, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. These guys, but they don't belong as a tag team.
Yeah.
They just don't for me. You got a weird, Jim Cornette's supposed to. I actually like this. I mean, I did. It amused me that Jim Cornette was supposed to wrestle Shane Douglas, and he comes out with the arm sling because his doctor told him he couldn't wrestle, and so Stan Lane steps in for him, and but then somehow Cornette's the guy who gets pinned in this match. So I'm just like baffled. Like, how does the match not involve him, but he gets pinned and loses? So that was some questionable booking there. That didn't make sense, even though it was kind of cute or whatever. And then the Sting over the Dragon Master that we were referring to earlier. Like, what? Like, I don't. And then I didn't see anything in this match that made me feel any differently about the Dragon Master. I don't even remember seeing any Dragon Master squash matches. So I don't even remember them building him up to be
It
worthy.
didn't really.
What Sting? Like, where does this guy even get a shot at Sting? Like,
No idea. I have no idea. I guess they want us to care about Buzz Sawyer, so they couldn't let it be Buzz Sawyer. Had to be the Dragon Master instead. Yeah. Yeah, you said you wanted to give the WWF a 5, but you were nice. Well, I was not nice to WCW because I gave them a 5.
wow, it'll be really close then. I gave WCW. You're gonna hate me. I gave him an 8.2.
An 8.2. You were smoking too much that
I
night.
gave him an 8.2. If I could rescore him after talking to you today, I'd probably have him a little lower. But I enjoyed Starrcade until you just made me realize how fundamentally flawed the show was and how bad it was for. I didn't think the show itself was as bad as you did. But whenever I think about how bad it is setting up the next chapter, that for me is what, when I really just process that, I'm like, eek. But yeah, I did. And I actually had them higher than that. I had them at an 8.4, I remember, and I lowered them to an 8.2.
Goddamn.
Yeah. And I think it was because I really hated last month WCW a lot. And so I was like, oh.
Well, let me do the math.
It's going to be close if you gave them a 5. I know that.
You're not gonna believe this, fat guy. You're not gonna believe this.
What?
It is an exact tie.
No, bro.
It is a 6.6 to a 6.6. I mean, this is unprecedented. I didn't even ever expect this. I don't even know how to score this.
Should have left it as an 8.4, I guess.
I mean, we have to think about the concept for the game now. I mean, do we give them both 2 points, or how do we score a draw? Do we have to get into convoluted Starrcade scoring for this?
I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it. This month was tough because, like I said, for me, I might have been able to give WWF a higher score than I did had we had more to go on, and if any of it was quality. This one's tough. I mean, you could always go by what your favorite match was, but the problem with that is WWF had no good matches this month. So I don't know. I would say probably give them 2 points apiece. That'd probably be the
yeah, I think that's fair, which will help WCW win the year at least.
Because it's gonna be so rare that there's an exact tie like that. Like that
yeah, especially with our crazy scoring this.
Yeah, because just for all the viewers out there, we don't know each other's scoring. We don't know each other's matches or any of this stuff. So that was pretty freaking random that it just came out like that.
Well, it will give WCW the win on the year.
Which is surprising enough, considering how the year started.
True.
And I do believe WWF is going to, once again, take control next month with the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, especially because for me, WCW is where they started last year. They got work to do to win me back over because I feel like they just shit on their entire year in December.
Yeah, you're right. Because even at the beginning of last year, the one redeeming thing about WCW was Flair and the Horsemen. And looking on it now, that's exactly the one redeeming thing they have going into the next year. So it is almost a mirror image of, I agree with you. It's almost a mirror image of what is going to happen next month. I'm predicting an absolute squash by WWF next month.
Yeah, especially with the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble 90. Oh, I don't know who wins this one. I'm excited.
Well, let's get to our top threes for the month.
I think it'll be Hogan because he wins everything.
Well, he's the champion, so maybe it won't be unless Perfect beats him. All right, tag teams. Honestly, this was the hardest month for me to score since I was so over WCW. But my tag team number 3, I gave it to the Steiners.
I gave it to Haku and Andre.
Number 2, I gave it to the Road Warriors.
I have the Steiners at number 2.
I gave number 1 to Haku and Andre.
And I have the Road Warriors at number 1. Which all makes sense because those are the only 3 teams I think that are even reasonable to put as your top 3. I don't.
That's basically it.
Everyone else shit the bed.
Oh yeah. My matches, you're gonna probably disagree with all of them.
I can't wait for this.
But for my number 3, I put Sting and Luger from the TV show, not from Starrcade.
I don't disagree with that because that's my number 3 as well. And I specifically wrote TV version.
Well, my number 2 was Z-Man and Pillman versus the Freebirds.
Wow, I love that. I just love hearing that just because new, fresh, and unexpected. Mine was Luger Flair from Starrcade. The draw.
Yeah. My number 1, because I refused to put too much. I refused to put Starrcade on this at all. My number 1 was not a good match, but it was a good result, and it was Andre and Haku versus Demolition.
I love it. I mean, hey, that's shades of me last month with the Genius Hogan. You just got to score it the way, sometimes you just got to follow your heart with these things. So I respect the hell out of that. Mine was from Starrcade, and it was the main event. It was Sting and Flair. I just like it when these two guys got in the ring, and I thought the main event was definitely the best match on the card.
Yeah, if anything from Starrcade would have made my list, it would have been that match. Feuds at number 3, I put Sting and Luger.
So I kind of cheated with my third feud because I used kind of 2 feuds. I put Hogan versus Perfect and Hogan versus Zeus because I think the Zeus things like Hogan Macho Man Zeus and Hogan Perfect. So I just kind of was like the Hogan feuds as my number 3 because I don't. They both seem kind of convoluted to me. Like he shouldn't be that much with.
I agree. Honestly, for me, it's not even really a feud. It kind of is. It's been a feud off and on for the past few months. I put Heenan and Piper at number 2.
See, and I kind of went with a weird thing too for my number 2 one, and it was Gary Hart versus Flair. His whole crew, I guess.
I put Hogan and Perfect at number 1. I enjoy that feud a lot more than Hogan and Zeus.
I actually have Luger and Sting for some reason at number 1. I just feel like there's a build up to that, and that's going to be something.
I mean, it's kind of been WCW's main feud.
Yeah.
Superstars. I put Cactus Jack at number 3 because it was like one of the only things I enjoyed from WCW this month.
Oh, I love it. I got Luger at number 3. I'm a WCW fanboy with my scoring this month.
There 2 of mine are WCW. My only other thing I enjoyed from WCW this month was Arn Anderson, who was at number 2.
Wow. I have Flair. I think his promo work's still good. He's still the champ. They put on a respectable finish in the tournament.
And my number 1, mostly as a fuck you to Starrcade, is Hulk Hogan at number 1 this month.
Wow. He went there, y'all. And I definitely had to go with Sting. I feel like he won the Starrcade tournament. He's got all the momentum right now, and they are shooting him to the moon.
I do agree with that. Well, to end this, we are going to determine our awards for the year. I basically nominated, well, let me see if I need to add anybody after your scoring real quick. I don't think so, because most people already had better averages than everybody else.
Yeah, I feel like Sting, Flair, and Luger, at least from Superstars, have been on our list quite a few times, so I wouldn't think they're going to overtake anybody.
Well, you'd be surprised that Sting has not been.
Wow. Hey. I guess it's really not that surprising because he's only come on the last month or so.
Yeah, that's true. So here are our nominations for Tag Team of 1989. These were the people with the best scores, I'll say who had the best, and we can determine if we're going to do it, give it to the person we scored the best average, or if we think someone else deserves it.
Okay.
Our tag teams with the highest averages, not in order, but they were Road Warriors, Steiners, Samoan SWAT Team,
Wow.
Brainbusters, and Freebirds. Brainbusters had our highest average, best average.
This is tough. I don't think I would give it to them.
I don't think I would either. I agree.
I think I'm leaning Freebirds.
Me too. That was our second. I feel like they were the most entertaining tag team of the year for sure.
They were, and they still should be. Like, they're even cutting good promos about how they got left out of the tournament and stuff. I don't know why they weren't in the tournament. Why would they pick the Samoans over the Freebirds? I don't even get that.
It's true.
For me, it would either be the Freebirds or the Steiners, like off the top of my head, as far as the tag team of the year. But if I had to say one, I'd give it to the Freebirds, man.
I was feeling the same way, so I think we can make it official that Freebirds were the tag team.
Atlanta, PA.
Of 1989. I feel like that's surprising. I feel like they don't get credit this late in their career for still being good.
They're awesome. And Michael Hayes is just good. He was good as a commentator. They're money.
Agreed. Okay, so matches is different. How I did matches, just basically, if they were both our number ones for the month, they're their nomination. Because that was the only fair way to do it, because so many matches are tied because they were our number ones. So the nominees are, well, most of it's Flair vs. Steamboat, but Flair vs. Steamboat at Chi-Town Rumble, Flair vs. Steamboat at Clash of Champions 6, Rockers versus the Brainbusters way back at a Saturday Night's main event in March, Flair vs. Steamboat at Wrestle War, Flair vs. Funk at Great American Bash, and Tommy Rich versus Lex Luger at Clash of Champions 8.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and veto Tommy Rich and Lex Luger, even though I did enjoy that match.
I mean, it's going to be a Flair and Steamboat match, but it's really hard to determine which one.
Yeah, bro, I can't. If you just told me off the top of my head, I couldn't separate them. They just had some really good matches earlier in the year. I mean, would it be a technicality too much just to sound like say
all the Flair Steamboat matches?
Steamboat and Flair had the matches of the year.
I mean, I'm down for that instead of having to decide which one.
Because I was kind of just scrolling up on my notes and I was like, oh Lord, I just have written how that I like them all.
Yeah, I think it's fair to do that this year. They were all good matches. Although I feel like all of those matches that were nominated, including Tommy Rich and Luger, were good matches.
I mean, it would have been Genius Hogan if I had my
I'm sorry that I didn't.
You'd ruin everything, Nick.
All right. Nominees for feud of the year. There's less because not a lot of feuds had a lot of points except for these four. We got Hogan and Macho Man, Funk and Flair, Flair and Steamboat, and Mr. Perfect and Hulk Hogan. Our highest rated, kind of by a lot, was Funk and Flair.
I don't hate that. I feel like just off the top of my head, I did like the Steamboat Flair stuff, but the Funk Flair feud felt more raw to me, more real. So especially if we had it significantly up there, I would say for me, I would go that way.
I agree. Like it's funny. Flair and Steamboat had the better matches. Well, I mean that match with the Funk and Flair also had good matches.
Yeah, they did.
But like the Flair and Steamboat matches are great matches, but this feud was definitely the best and most entertaining feud.
He paid the man's medical bills so he could get him back in the ring. He paid his whatever, his fine.
All right, Superstar of the Year. The nominees are, surprisingly, Steamboat still made our top, even though he's been gone for several months. But Steamboat, Hogan, Flair, Luger and Macho Man are our nominees for. Flair had the highest with Luger in second, and I do think it should be between those two.
I agree. I was actually going to say between those two are Macho, just simply because I refuse to give Hulk Hogan our Wrestler of the Year. I'll fight you tooth and nail on that.
I'm not going for that.
So can't go Hogan, and Steamboat hasn't been around. So, and I've liked everything Macho's done, but yeah, I do think it's between Flair and Luger, and I think it's really close in my brain.
It is. I mean, because look, Luger's really came on and been one of the best parts of any of these companies for the past several months. So I do think he could honestly be our answer. However, Flair, I mean, look, he's in our matches of the year, he's in our feud of the year, so it's kind of hard to not give it to Flair, but also, I don't know. It's tough. It's a close one.
This one is tough, and I agree with you. I feel like Luger deserves to be in that conversation, at least. Even if we go with Flair, Luger, especially for the past 3 or 4 months, has really stepped up and helped carry WCW while Flair was not there. That being said, I feel like Flair carried WCW the first 8 months and was the only, one of the best things they had going for the majority of this year. Either guy could win for me. I'd probably lean Flair.
I'll go with that. Like, I loved Luger's work lately.
Like, if we had a most improved award, it would go to Luger hands down.
And we could have that. We could give him most improved.
Yeah, Luger, if you're out there, Lex, you win our most improved wrestler of 1989. Your heel turn was exactly what you needed.
Lastly, I just kind of want to do an MVP for both companies. I think WWF is going to be easy for us because we've talked about Heenan all year being the MVP of the WWF. Absolutely. Is there any way you would dispute that?
No.
Yeah.
Not even close. And I just was talking about how much I love Macho Man and what he's been doing, and I still wouldn't. No. Brain did for the WWF what Flair was doing for WCW, but he was doing it not even as a wrestler. Just single-handedly Atlas holding the world on his shoulders for the bulk of the year.
I feel like there's conversations to be had for WCW though, because like we've said, Michael Hayes is definitely should be the contender. He's been entertaining at everything, but then we just talked about how Luger has really came on strong. Or we could also give MVP to Flair because he's carried a lot of the company, so it's tough.
I don't feel right about giving it to Flair just because I feel like the Superstar Award is more, I guess, I don't know. See, I would say whichever one we consider more prestigious, I would give to Flair.
Yeah, I would say this is how I see it for us for this little game anyway. Superstar definitely prestigious. I see MVP as just like who entertained us the most altogether on each show.
I love your 3 nominees from WCW. I think the Brain's no doubt, no brainer, if you will, for the WWF. And I think either Luger or Hayes are both phenomenal nominees. That one's tough, man. That one's really tough. And I even feel like you could almost, he wasn't there for long enough, but I really enjoyed Terry Funk's stuff too. I felt like he came out of nowhere and put on some good stuff. But if we're just talking about the overall, I mean, it would be Flair in my mind, because he was just there and performing all year. But yeah, man, this one's tough. I guess I'd go between Luger and Hayes. I'd probably give it to Luger, man. His heel work's been on point. Hayes has been, I don't know, man. I really like Hayes on the mic. I really like Hayes' commentary. That one's tough. I'm going to let you decide this one. Those are my top 2, though. I would give it to either Luger or Hayes.
Yeah, those are my top 2 as well. I mean, you made a good point with Funk. Because, I mean, Flair stuff would not have been as good without Funk. So there's that. But, I mean, overall, who's entertained me more? If we're definitely going to entertainment, then I have to say Hayes. But
And I think it's fair. Another positive point to Hayes, he's been doing it all year.
True.
I feel like Luger's best work just came with the heel turn, which is about halfway through the year. And before that, he wasn't the total package. So I feel like Hayes was killing it the whole year, even before Garvin came back and he didn't have Freebirds. He was doing it on his own without the Freebirds at the beginning of the year, getting put in the commentary booth. He might have even held the singles title. I think he did, right? Well, no.
Yeah, he did, actually. It was very short-lived because then Luger beat him out of nowhere.
Yeah, give that man his due.
Well, Michael Hayes, MVP for WCW. Definitely brought the entertainment.
Yeah.
And that concludes our year, Fan Guy.
Huh, what a year. I never would have thought WCW would have had any chance after the first few months. But I think I'm going to feel that same way next year. So, you know, cool year of wrestling, man. Definitely a throwback. Things were way different back then.
Yeah, they certainly were way different. I've enjoyed it so far. 1990 should be interesting. I do think WCW is going to have to do a lot of work in this first part of the year again. For me.
No, I'm with you. They didn't do themselves any favors with Starrcade. Because, I mean, here's what I think about Starrcade again. It's just, I didn't think the matches were as bad as you thought. But, like, looking at what it did booking-wise for their future, it put them in a bad spot. Like, they dug their hole here.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like Luger is their only heel, right?
I think the Horsemen are about to go heel.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would make sense because they have no other heels.
They're gonna turn heel whenever. My prediction is gonna be Sting's gonna join them soon. But I remember because I lived this growing up. He was not a Horseman for long, and so I think he's gonna join them. And when they kick him out, they're probably gonna like jump him out. And they're going to go back to.
Yeah, I definitely remember them turning on him, but I don't know when.
It's going to be. I think it'll be by March or April. He'll join in the next few shows, and it'll be done by March or April, maybe even sooner. So I think those are, and I think that's when WCW is going to pick back up, is whenever they have heels to work with, like the Horsemen. But then they need a competent face to oppose them, which Sting could do for a little while, but. You know,
Sure, then they might be short on faces.
Yeah, because Luger's still a heel. All the Gary Hart guys are heels. Are Pillman and Z-Man just going to jump into the main?
I guess so. Norman might be full face by then.
For you, Horseman.
Well, I guess that ends our year. I also think I would kind of want to add promo to our top threes next year.
Let's do it.
I will make a note so I remember, hopefully. All right. Well, thank you, Fan Guy. That ends 1989. WCW wins the year, goes into 1990, leading with a score of, I lost my score sheet, 26-22.
But without momentum. So,
yes.
But with a severe lack of momentum. So it'll be an interesting show. Thank you to you as well, Nick. Always a pleasure. Reminiscing about this stuff, watching these matches. So good stuff, man.
All right, we shall end it there. Peace out.